That's an ICM disaster. There are times when it's correct to fold pocket aces pre-flop. Like, satellites are supposed to be tight. Why is the small blind shoving with 75% of hands and the big blind is calling with 66% of hands?
Tournament satellites. The increasingly popular way of turning a few dollars into riches and fame, like they did for Chris Moneymaker. The accomplished co-author of Poker Satellite Strategy, Barry Carter, teaches the cash gamer Lemon on how they differ from regular tournaments.
The fundamental differences between satellites and other formats is there are times when it's correct to fold pocket aces pre-flop. There is no extra bonus for coming first in a satellite. The player who has 90% of the chips at the end of a satellite gets the same prize as the guy who finishes with an ante. In fact, the chances are the guy who finished with an ante might have been playing it better. The second there becomes two prizes of equal value, then everything becomes tighter. You can nurse a very short stack for longer when more seats are being awarded.
So Barry, how the hell do we beat it?
You should register as late as possible. You get an instant ICM equity boost. Closer you register to the end of the tournament, the less players there are going to be for you to beat. The second consideration is this is a rebuy and add-on tournament. $10 in this instance for 15,000 chips. The add-on is another $10 for 22,500 chips because it's 1.5x. So you get more for the add-on. So the correct strategy here is to max late register, buy in once. Sometimes you can you can do a double entry. Buy in once and then buy the add-on, but don't buy any more rebuys. Another important factor to think about is you kind of need to know your shallow stack ranges. When you have, say, 15 to 30 big blinds, if you've got a hand that you'd open, you're probably just better off shoving it. If you ever ask me, is it okay to shove? I'm usually going to say yes in a satellite. One of the skills in a satellite is actually looking at what's happening on the other tables. Like, if we were on the bubble, that it might have been a shove because there was another player that was a micro stack, and then you can exert a lot of ICM pressure if everyone else is watching. The later you go in a satellite, the less useful small pairs are. And the more useful suited aces are, because fold equity is the most important thing in satellites. You want people to fold. If you have even if you've got aces and people fold, it's actually a pretty good result. If you've got a hand like ace 4 suited, that's actually, I'd prefer to shove that in this situation with your stack than I would pocket sixes. You tend to be dominated when you are called, but you can hit that wheel straight or the flush. But importantly, you block aces, ace king, ace queen, ace jack, the exact hands you don't want to call you. So you've got a pretty big stack now for a satellite. You're going for a small bet, which is good. That's a good thing to do both in multi-way pots and when ICM is significant. Oh God, yeah. I mean, I guess you kind of got to call that. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably be going with this all-in bluff now because obviously you block the second nut flush draw, and I think he's got 9x.
I guess it's reasonable.
In the earlier stage of the satellites, you should be playing essentially as you would a normal tournament, but taking the lower variance line each time. It's at a spot where it's kind of like sometimes a race, sometimes a call, just and stuff. And if sometimes a call and sometimes a fold, just fold. So no, I'm okay with this. You're going to be behind most of the time. When a third of the field are going to win a seat, you should probably shove most of your hands.
Even at
because
29 big blinds.
Yes, I'd say from about 30 big blinds and downwards. You don't want to have to fold a lot of equity,
right.
Either pre-flop or on the flop. Chip preservation is more important than chip accumulation. I mean, if you think your opponents aren't going to reshove light pre-flop, then you can just open, as you are doing now. But if this was, say, a site like Party Poker, where they have a lot of satellites, you probably get punished for opening too much here. I mean, no, that's an ICM disaster. I mean, if he re-raised on you now, you'd be in the absolute coffin. But you would have to give up so much equity. But at the same time, I was confident he didn't have an ace there. I think he probably just calls you with hearts or a jack. But I would have just gone for a smaller bluff, to be perfectly honest. I think you would just you just put yourself in a terrible situation. If it's closer to the money, say 8 players left, and you cover everybody, you could actually shove 100% hands because the ICM presser is so huge that they will. They should be folding most of the time. So a couple more positions, and I think you could definitely make a case for shoving any 2 cards.
I think this is a good strategy.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I would always advise it in coin flip situations to win them.
Could we just fold into the... Oh,
Yeah,
nearly.
yeah, I was about to say that. You could probably fold to the money. We have a heuristic for this, which is if there are more players between you and the bubble than there are players outside of the bubble, you can fold everything. So you could probably get away with folding everything now, but if you had a good spot, you should probably just go for it.
I guess intuitively I was thinking, okay, shouldn't put chips in, so I just went with the limit.
Yeah. No, you should shove.
Just.
Yeah, you should, if you're going to play that, you should shove.
You should shove. You think we're in the money? No, we're not. So I just called. Is that correct?
No.
Ah, damn it.
Definitely not. This is a shove or fold. This is a shove or fold situation.
Shove or fold, really? Wow.
Yeah, shove or fold. And I like folding, to be perfectly honest. There's only one player to go. And this player to your immediate right has to make a move at some point. They're going to blind out before you do. Same with this player here.
Is this also a fold here?
Again, this is a GTO shove.
GTO shove, right?
Yeah, definitely a GTO shove. But in practice, nothing good happens if you get called. Like, do you really want to get called by this guy and be out of the tournament when this guy and this guy were going to blind out? If this was a table full of weak players, then that's fine. You'll get away with it a lot. If this was Dara Okani in this seat and he sees an open, he's going to jump on top of it because he knows that you have to fold. And he knows you have to fold. If you're on a site or at a stake level where there's satellite regulars, like there's players that just play satellites and they don't play the formats, you're going to get absolutely punished. You're going to have to fold very, very good hands. Or you'll find yourself calling and putting your life at risk needlessly.
Oh, there we go. I actually did fold it.
Oh, that's fine also. Just because this guy is, like I said, he's been very, very passive. From the hands that we've seen, obviously, I don't know what he's been done on hands that you just folded.
This is the worst thing that can happen. They just chop it, you know?
Yeah, oh, that's awful. That really is the worst. Yeah.
Here we go. This is going to be tough to tie. We have the sweat and he takes it down.
Okay.
There we go. I like how he chose you the first place, you know? Even though you're...
Yeah. Everyone, that's the thing. You don't have to have all the chips to win the exact same prize as the player who won all it. So look at the stack configurations and work out if you can fold to the money. And if you can fold to the money, then do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there something where I can learn more? Is there maybe like a book that you can recommend? Yeah. There's a book called Poker Satellite Success. Oh no, that's the other guy. There isn't. No, Poker Satellite Strategy. It's I mean it's a lot of what we said. It's like fold it. We cover a lot of things. We cover when it's correct to fold aces pre-flop, and there's some spots. I'll show you an interesting spot on Hold'em Resources Calculator. 2 seats, we're on the bubble, 3 players. Big blind has 5 big blinds. Small blind has 5 big blinds. The button has 40 big blinds, so they're guaranteed a seat. What would you say their range is on the button to shove? Well, before the video, I would say let's shove suited aces, but I'm thinking you might just shove aces and maybe kings? No, kings probably a fold. I would say, nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing, not even aces.
Nothing. So if you fold, the small blind is supposed to shove with this range.
Right.
They're supposed to shove almost everything, right? And then the big blind is supposed to call with this range. Which doesn't make sense, does it? It's like satellites are supposed to be tight. Why is the small blind shoving with 75% of hands and the big blind is calling with 66% of hands? And it's because as the button, you have got your seat guaranteed. And it just becomes a heads-up match between the 2 remaining players. The correct thing to do here
is not be involved in the hand, because that's most likely going to yield you the outcome that you want, which is the tournament ending. Satellites are, in many ways, the opposite of poker. Whatever your instinct is, just do the opposite, and you might just about get away with it. Swallow your pride in satellites. There's no prizes for coming first in a satellite. Just fold more, let other people make the mistakes.